At the very end of last week's Parsha, there's one of the worst catastrophes in Jewish history. God has appeared to Moshe at the burning bush and told him, "You the man, you're going to go to Egypt, I'm going to take the Jews out of slavery, and you're going to lead them out." And Moshe goes back to Egypt, reunites with his Jewish brethren, proves to them that he is indeed the Savior, shares with them the secret code that God had given to Yaakov, who had passed it down to Yosef, who gave it to his brothers, who gave it to the rest of the Jewish people. So he is the person. And he's got the perfect resume. He's the son of the former leader of the Jewish people, Amram. He's the younger brother of the current leader of the Jewish people, Aharon. He grew up in the palace and was the overseer until he had to flee as a fugitive. He is the guy. After 200 plus years, he's going to take us out of slavery. And he goes into the palace, to Pharaoh, Paro's palace, with his brother Aaron. And he asks Paro to let the Jews go. And Paro doesn't just say no. He doesn't just throw Moshe and Aaron out of the palace. He tells them, you know what? Not only are they not going out, the slavery is now going to get even more brutal. I want the same quota of bricks, but I'm not giving them any straw, no raw material. They're on their own. Can't imagine anything more devastating for the Jewish people. All these years, hundreds of years, they've been waiting to be freed. Savior shows up, handpicked by God, proves his credentials, goes in, this is it, we're going to get out now. And it gets worse. Moshe cries out to God, "What? What's going on? Why'd you send me? Why'd you make it worse?" And God at the very end of last week's Parsha says to him, "Now you'll see what's going to happen." And at the beginning of this week's Parsha, God sits Moshe down, gives him a long lecture. But he's not just lecturing Moshe, he's lecturing us. He tells Moshe, "I appeared to the patriarchs with a certain one of my names, the name of the God who makes promises." They didn't ask any questions, even though they didn't see the fulfillment of those promises. So you certainly shouldn't ask any questions, because you're about to see me through a different name, the name of the God who keeps his promises. He's teaching Moshe, and he's teaching us that sometimes things get worse before they get better. And sometimes things get worse before they get better. And sometimes things, when they're really bad, they look like they're getting better. Oh my goodness, what a relief. Finally, I'm over this, I'm past this. And then it gets worse. Not just worse than it ever was before. So God's telling Moshe, and he's telling us, and he's telling all the Jews throughout history, you're going to have incredibly difficult times. Nationally difficult times, communally difficult times, family-related difficulties, individual difficulties. And sometimes you're going to be in a dark, narrow tunnel. And then suddenly it's going to get a little lighter, and you're going to say, this is it. I think it's finally over. And then the lights are going to go out completely. Worse than it ever was. Do not throw up your hands in despair. Don't give up. Put your hand on that wall, even if your eyes are closed, it's totally dark, you can't see. But don't give up faith. Just keep going. But sometimes that last darkest twist and turn is right before, not just the light at the end of the tunnel, God at the end of the tunnel. Hang in there.